I want to talk about one of the most buzzworthy, one of those words, books of this season, which is Ask Again Yes by Mary Beth Keane. Now this is one of those books that has a lot of hype surrounding it, and as we know, you can or cannot trust the hype. It's sort of a gamble going in. You can just never tell if a book was really well promoted or if it's actually worth all of the attention it's getting. I was able to read this before release date, which was May 28th, and long story short, I can report to you that yes, this book is worth the hype. Let's talk about it. In case you're unfamiliar with the basic plot line, this is a multi-generational family saga, and it starts in the 1970s, I believe, with two rookie NYPD cops who end up being partners for a short span of time. This is how they end up getting connected at that initial moment, and how their lives will forever be connected through their wives, through their children, and through their grandchildren. We go all the way up into the 2000s, and we are doing a sort of layered story about the couples. So we have the one NYPD couple and another NYPD couple, and then we have their children, and two of their children who have this sort of child romance that blossoms into adulthood. And then we go into their story and how it relates to the previous story. So it is, as I said, multi-generational family saga. I always feel like these books that do so much in scope are harder to describe because so much happens. You don't want to give anything away because you just want the other reader to just experience it however they're going to experience it. So I don't want to ruin anything. I don't want to give you any spoilers. I just want to share with you basically the general themes and my basic general thoughts on the book per usual. Now, this book is a bit of a heartbreaker, and by that I mean within 60 pages I was crying a little bit, and it's a heavy hitter right off the bat. There's a lot of tragedy that occurs. We're talking themes of mental illness, about substance abuse. There's a lot of stronger, heavier themes that this author goes into, but she handles it really, really well. I particularly am quite sensitive to books handling mental illness. Like whenever it's written in a really genuine way, I cannot help but get emotional about it. If you've seen my books that made me ugly cry video, Shutter Island is one that does mental illness really well, and it completely wrecked me. Like I just sobbed into a pillow for a good 30 minutes. And this wasn't that level of crying, but it is just a book that handles those topics really well. And what's also well done is that it handles it from lots of different angles, because throughout this book we're hearing from different perspectives, ideas of these traumatic or hard events that their lives go through together. So you're getting to see not only, you know, one person's ideas of how this affects a family and a community, you're seeing lots of people's, and I think that just helps it be more well-rounded and makes you think. That's something I really liked about this book as a whole, is that it makes you consider things. And whenever a fiction book, especially a contemporary one, can make you just examine these topics in a new way, maybe in a way that you're familiar with, maybe confront you with some ideas you're not so comfortable with, but you know, thinking about them in a new way, I think that's a really powerful thing, and I think that's one of the most beautiful things about fiction. So I really admired that about Mary Beth Keane's writing. Something else this book does really well is that it handles the time jumps pretty well. That's something really difficult to pull off, especially when you have different perspectives and you're going through the 70s to the early 2000s. That's a lot of time, that's a lot of moving pieces, and I imagine it must have been hard to structure and hard to pull off, but Mary Beth Keane actually does it pretty freaking well. I have zero complaints about that. She manages to mark these events, like the stuff that matters, in a pretty efficient way, and she gives us enough time to feel it and experience it, and then she moves on. So it's really, really well done. I really only have one complaint about this book, and it's that because the beginning and the middle are so emotional and tumultuous and so thought-provoking, I expected the ending to be more powerful than it was. Now, I'm not saying the ending was bad. I'm not. I'm just saying I expected more from it. I expected to feel more. I expected to have like this crazy typical family saga ending and for it to break my heart, and it didn't really, which I guess is good in some ways, but it just didn't hit me like I thought it was going to because of how the beginning and the rest of the book was. So that's something to keep in mind. If you really need a strong ending, then maybe this isn't the one for you, because you might get to the end and be, I don't know, not disappointed, but just sort of feel like, oh, okay. Like that's basically how I felt. I was like, oh, that's it? when I was expecting to be like drowning in a pile of tears. So, you know, it's up to you, but I just wanted to say that going in. It's a really strong book. It's worth the hype. I get why it's so popular. She does a lot of things extremely, extremely well, and I was glad to have a chance to read it. It's a good summer read if you like family stories, if you like to read books about those relationships and dynamics and how they change and adapt over time, then yeah, I say it's a great read for you. That's it for this little review of Ask Again Yes by Mary Beth Keane. Thanks to Scribner for sending me a free copy. I really appreciate it. If you liked this video, do me a quick favor before you hop off and watch the next one. Just give it a quick thumbs up, leave me a comment below, let me know if you've heard of this, if you've read it already, or if you're planning to read it. I'd love to chat with you about it. And if you're new here and you haven't subscribed yet, but you like all things bookish, book reviews, hauls, TBRs, all that good bookish nerdy stuff, then I'm your girl. So go ahead and press that subscribe button, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye guys.